Happy Thursday! For our math today, you're going to need this conversion chart, fraction, decimals, percents, and you're going to need this percent, fraction, decimal, maze. Okay, these two papers. So to start off today, let's go over this chart. This is the harder of the two pages. Okay, so I think maybe we should start with some of the easier ones. So I'm going to skip down a little bit. And so this is not new. This is something we've been practicing, but some of the numbers on here are new. Some things, they're not as easy of conversions, okay? But some of them are easy. So for example, let's look at this one. The percent, 50%. 50% as a fraction is, remember percents means percent is out of 100. Of 100. Percent actually means of 100. Okay? So 50%, 50 out of 100. So 50 out of 100, which is reduced to 1/2. Okay? And then the decimal that represents that, 50 hundredths or 5/10. All right. Let's look at another simpler one. This is 1/4. So 1/4 as a fraction. This one we should know off the top of our heads. We've done this one a lot. Is 0.25, and so then the percent of 0.25 or 25 hundredths is 25%. Now, for some of these that are a little bit harder, if you can take the decimal, remember that the decimal, multiply it by 100 is going to be your percent. If you have a percent, divide it by 100 and you'll have your decimal. Okay, and then the fraction is going to be out of 100 and then you're going to reduce it. So for these problems down here where you already have your decimal, remember that you just need to multiply by 100, which is when you move the decimal 2 times, right? When you multiply by 100 to find the percent. So these ones are easy. You can literally write it in 35% and 75%, right? And then the fraction, 35, and then the place value of this is 35 hundredths, which then you can reduce. So if you have 35 over 100, what are you going to divide by in both the numerator and the denominator? And hopefully you recognize that 35 and 100 are both, they both have 5 as a factor. So we're going to divide by 5 on the top and the bottom. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 100 divided by 5 is 20. Let's just jump down to the bottom one so we finish this section. Remember, it's 65 hundredths. We can multiply by 100 and get 65%. If we write it as a fraction, 65 hundredths, 65 over 100, and then again, just like above, what number can we divide both 65 and 100 by? We know that 5 is a factor of both. And so we can divide 65 and 100 both by 5. 65 divided by 5, we know that 50 divided by 5 is 10. And 15 divided by 5 is 3. So I should have 13 over 20. All right, so you guys are going to finish those ones. And then same up here. With these fractions that you're given, the easiest thing to do would be to rename. Well, this one's an easy one, isn't it? Because it's a tenth. But you can rename out of 100. If you rename these fractions out of 100, you can easily move from percent to decimal. All right? And then up here on the percents conversions, remember that you can divide a percent by 100 to get its decimal. So 18%, divide that by 100, and you have 18 hundredths. And then you're doing the exact same thing we did on the bottom of this conversion chart, where 18 hundredths is 18 over 100, And then you're going to divide both the numerator and denominator by the same thing. In this case, 2, which should give us 9 over 50. All right, this should not take too long. You're just practicing some of these conversions from decimals to fractions to percents. When you have finished that, I have this fun little maze for you. This is supposed to be a fun little challenge, and we did